I always do. Over and over.
Hey, we're live, and this is the Real in the Field Games. That's right. It's Real in the Field Goals podcast, but today we're playing games. I'm your host, Kenneth Arthur, and with me, the two contestants, Danny Kelly, you'll know from Field Goals as well, and SB Nation, and Jackson Bevins, who also writes for Field Goals. So, we are here, and we're going to play the first ever Real in the Field games. Let's talk to our contestants. Danny is 31? Danny is 32 from Seattle-ish, Washington, or Bellingham. Which one again?
Either one works.
Either one works, and he is a writer. Danny, thanks for coming to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Kenneth.
Yes, absolutely. And I believe I was going to try and think of a little anecdote story like Alex Trebek on Jeopardy, but didn't have anywhere to go with that. Our other contestant, Jackson Bevins, is 32 as well.
31.
Is 31, a youngin', and he's here to play the game. He's also from the same areas as Danny Kelly. And Jackson, I believe you have a lovely lady with you. Is that right?
Yeah, she's my arm candy for the evening, but the boys said no video, so sorry, audience. Also,
Wow.
Kenny, I just want to say I appreciate you getting two contestants of very disparate backgrounds for this show.
Well, of course, that's what we
young,
always strive
pretty
for.
White male bloggers from Bellingham.
Our number one emails that we get when terms of podcasts are there aren't enough young white men doing podcasts. And we said, we'll be the first. We'll get in there. We're going to change this community to start having some young white men. So
About time something broke our way.
Absolutely. And we'll begin with our first game called Favorites First and Bests. Favorites First and Best is I will ask you a personal experience. It could be your favorite, it could be your first, or it could be the best. And then I will judge the winner based on who has the best experience. And I will be the sole judge of this game. It is completely discretionary. So, let's start out with your first Seattle Seahawks game, beginning with Danny Kelly.
My first Seahawks game, I don't even remember what year it was, but my dad took me to the game. They played the Raiders in the Kingdom, and the idea was somehow one of our family friends knew Ronnie Lott, and so the idea was to go meet Ronnie Lott, who was playing for the Raiders at that time. And so we went to the game, went to the Kingdom, had a blast, got back in I don't even know where we went. Somewhere in the Kingdom to go find Ronnie Lott. And then when I asked him for an autograph, he said no.
Ooh, ouch. You know what a Ronnie Lott says no gets? Yikes, Ronnie Lott says, not gonna happen, young boy. But you do get points just for even adding Ronnie Lott to the story. How old were you then?
That's probably when I was about 10, I'll say.
Whoa, automatic plays here on YouTube. Fuck you, YouTube. Moving over to Jackson Bevins. Jackson, when was your first Seahawks game?
Let's see. I know that I had a paper route at the time, so I was either 10 or 11, because I remember afterwards talking about the game because they were down by a couple of scores. It was also against the Raiders, and it was Monday night. And Seahawks were down by at least a couple scores in the fourth quarter. And I remember a bunch of fans leaving early and me being at that age and just, of course, it's the greatest experience the 10-year-old can have at the Kingdom watching your team play on Monday Night Football. And I remember, saying to everyone, you're going to miss the big comeback, you're going to miss the big comeback. Because it just didn't register that you would leave 1 second earlier than you had to. And sure enough, the Seahawks came back. They actually got within 1 or 2 and had a field goal to win at the very end. It would have been one of the really great Monday night comebacks, but they clanked the field goal off the upright. and lost. So, but that was my first experience.
Yikes, another loss, and now we just can't win around here, but somebody can win. And the winner of the first game is Danny Kelly for trying to get Ronnie Lott's autograph and getting denied. Wah, wah.
Congratulations.
Okay. You know, it's a long game, Jackson. You got plenty of time to catch up. That was only worth 10 million points. Moving on to the next. We'll start with Jackson on this one. Jackson, who's your first favorite player?
Steve Largent was the first sports hero that I had. You know, I ended up liking Brian Blades a little bit more, but Steve Largent was like the first, before Griffey, before everyone else. Largent was my guy, poster on the wall, autographed by him, and that was pretty much all it takes when you're 4 or whatever.
Wow. Couple receivers coming up in front. Danny, same question. If you could name any favorite Seahawk that was your first favorite Seahawk, who would you name as your first favorite Seahawk?
Well, some people don't know this. I think some people do, but I got into the Seahawks game a little bit late in life, and so my favorite Seahawk when I was younger was Matt Hasselbeck, actually.
Ooh.
I like Matt Hasselbeck before you even knew about Matt Hasselbeck.
Oh, we're having a little bit of a fight between the contestants here. Calm down, guys. Calm down.
Yeah,
Danny, tell us more about when you first started loving Matt Hasselbeck.
You just gotta
there were a few years in there where it didn't get off to such a good start.
I mean, you love the bravado. You love the East Coast confidence of the bald bomber. You know, I think just the way he slung the rock. No, I don't know. You're young and you like the quarterback, I guess. And I wasn't even that young. That was my intro to football, and I guess obviously you follow the ball. So I would probably have had to say either Hasselbeck or Sean Alexander.
But there's no either. You can't just slide someone in there because you were feeling unconfident about your Matt Hasselbeck.
Hasselbeck all the way, man.
I could have given it to you because Matt Hasselbeck is my favorite Seahawk of all time, but
wait, is this favorite at the last second?
What's that?
Is this favorite ever or like our first?
No. That was just my own personal. I said it's your first favorite Seahawk. He could have had it with Hasselbeck, but it's going to Jackson Bevins with the greatest Seahawks of all time. Hey-oh, wow. Steve Largent, you know, after Steve Largent, and then I guess after Brian Blades, it's pretty thin as far as all-time Seahawks wide receivers. Not much else to choose from. So let's take it to the next level, guys. Let's start with a favorite as well. It doesn't have to be a Seahawk. This is any player in the NFL, let's say current. We'll start with Danny.
Any player.
Well, hold on. No, let me finish the question.
Okay, there we go.
Judges? Okay, the judges say I can finish the question. Danny, who is your favorite skill player in the NFL that's wide receiver, tight end, or running back that is white?
Let's see here. Can I say...
Can you say Kenneth Arthur? No, you cannot. I was cut.
Shoot. I'm gonna go ahead and say, man, we should have been given these questions before the.
No, what game show do you know of where they give the contestants the questions beforehand?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna have to go with probably Jordy Nelson, I guess.
Oh, Jordy Nelson, Green Bay Packers wide receiver. You know, one of the most valuable players in the NFL last year. Heck of a guy, heck of a player. Is he scrappy? Is he gritty? These are the types of...
Yeah, he's high effort. He's a lunch pail guy.
And maybe...
Also, he's very explosive down the field. Has a good buzz cut. Just keeps it real, you know.
Keeps it real. Keeps it real. Keep in mind, keeps it real. All right, Jackson, he took Jordy Nelson. Now, that doesn't exclude you from taking the same player. There's so many white skill players to choose from, so which are you choosing?
Depends on what you classify Jimmy Graham as.
Ooh.
Oh, dang, that's a good one.
I got to go to the judges on this one. The judges say we can't answer that.
Yeah. All right. And
We're not allowed.
Is this ever or current?
This is current.
Okay, and only offensive skill position players.
Are there defensive skill position players?
I don't know. I've always thought that was a weird categorization. Like there's unskilled players in the NFL.
Well, let's go to the judges. Judges, are there defensive skill players? That's going to be a no. So,
All right.
offense, tight end, running back, wide receiver, go.
Okay. I mean, it's Jordy Nelson.
Ooh, Jordy Nelson.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's not close.
And it's not close. Now, what does that say about white skill players in the NFL? They're two guys who just come to the one guy, and it's not even close. No love for
Luke Wilson.
Toby Gerhart.
Danny Amendola.
There we go. He's another one. I mean, I probably would have.
Jason
picked,
Witten.
What's the guy from the Patriots that scored the touchdown in the Super Bowl? I don't want to even say his name.
Oh, Gronkowski is awesome.
Oh,
Yeah,
Gronkowski.
Back Gronkowski, man.
There we
totally
go.
spaced. I'm going Gronkowski. Penalize me for backing out at the last second, but
Oh,
it's
wow.
absolutely Gronkowski. He's one of my
This
favorite.
is the first. Someone is asking to be penalized right here on Real in the Field games. And we're going to allow it. Danny, you win this round. Okay, so that's 2-1 Danny in the first round. We're playing.
Are you thinking about
first
Edelman?
and best.
I was thinking about Julian Edelman, but he's so annoying I can't choose him.
Ooh, Julian Edelman. That would have been tough, especially over his teammate Rob Gronkowski.
And Amendola. Yeah.
Nobody chose Brian Walters. Nobody chose Brian Walters.
And if we're talking all time, probably Mike Allstott.
There we go.
Perhaps, perchance. Now let's go to another one. This is not.
Stop. Didn't Jackson write something about Danny Amendola being like really good looking? Wouldn't want to leave him around your sister or something?
Yeah, that sounds like something I would say.
Okay. Anyway, continue
For a second, I
on.
thought you called him Dammy Amendola, and I was
I might have. I actually probably just screwed up my own name, so that's a little weird. But
Here we go with the first, and this is a tough one. It might be a thinker. Think on it. And actually, while you think on that, just I'll give it out, and then we'll take a moment, and we'll take that moment as I pull up the moment music. So, think on this one, guys. Who was the first guy in the NFL that you felt really kept it real? It's July 2nd, 2015. You're listening to Real in the Field Goals podcast, but it's a special edition. It's the Real in the Field games with your host, Kenneth Arthur. And right now, I have asked the two contestants, Danny Kelly, Jackson Bevins, both from the Seattle Bellingham area, both riders for field goals. I said, who was the first player in the NFL that you felt really kept it real? And we're going over to Jackson.
Deion Sanders.
Ooh, Deion Sanders. Good choice. Deion Sanders, cornerback, punt returner, baseball player, Hall of Famer. This guy kept it real for at least, I want to say, 12 seasons with the Dallas Cowboys, Atlanta Falcons, San Francisco 49ers, Super Bowl rings. And he would say it like he is. That's why he is, woo, prime time. That's Deion Sanders. Expand on that, Jackson, if you will, more so than I did.
Well, he made a music video, I think as a rookie or close to it, where he's dancing around in a blazer with no undershirt singing It's All About the Money. And dude just totally backed it up. And like I remember hearing this story when I was young. Never bothered to verify if it was true because I really want it to be. But he showed up for the combine. Everyone knew he was going to be a top whatever pick. And so he said he was only going to do one event, and that was run the 40. And so he lined up for the 40, ran it in a 4.21 or whatever, his fastest on record or was for a long time, or 4.27, I think. And apparently just kept running through the finish line, out the tunnel, and into a limo that was waiting to take him to the airport to fly back home.
Wow, that's about as real as it gets. I don't know if Danny's going to be able to top this one. Danny, what you got?
I'm gonna go with Joe Namath.
Ooh, what? Man, go on. Joey Namath, Joey Broadway, Joey Brooklyn, the New York Jets, 1969 Super Bowl champions. He called it, folks. He called the win, and he went in there and they beat the Baltimore Colts in Super Bowl III, taking down Johnny Unitas. So, Danny, how did he keep it so real?
Well, first of all, he was the son of a steel worker, which just makes him the most lunch pail guy you've ever heard of in the NFL.
Okay.
And then he went and took it. You know, he was kind of the first in Hollywood superstar in the NFL. You know, he wore the fur coat on the sidelines. He's just kind of like, he has the whole don't give a fuck attitude. Called a shot.
Censors, watch out there.
Anyway, and yeah, so that's my choice. That's Joe Namath right there. And he was dating actresses, whatever. You know, he was the first guy that really wanted to be a superstar, I think.
Well, these are two great answers. It's really tough to come down and to this one. You've got, on one hand, you've got Deion Sanders. On the other hand, you've got Joe Namath. My answer is coming up right here in a second. I got to let an ad play, and then my answer will come. Which was the first player to really keep it real, at least in your opinions, and age, you know, comes into consideration, but here we are, and that didn't stop Danny from keeping it super old school and going to Joe Namath, but then Jackson said Deion Sanders.
That's what we're talking about.
Must be the money. Deion Sanders' #1 hit coming through you live through the speakers. That means Jackson has tied it all up at 2-2 because Deion Sanders was the first guy to really keep it real, and it must be the money. Final tiebreaker answer coming up right now. This is the tiebreaker, and we're starting with Danny Kelly.
No.
Danny Kelly. The question is, are you over Super Bowl 49?
No, in a word. I am not over that, and I potentially will never be over it, but at the same time, I don't really think about it a whole lot because, you know, as I like to say, as Van Wilder likes to say, worrying is like a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but it doesn't get anywhere. So I'm looking forward, and honestly, you know, I try not to think about it too much, and it makes me feel better when I don't think about it.
All I got to say one thing to a Van Wilder quote. Wow, he went there. I can't believe he did it. He pulled it, folks. But Jackson Bevins, are you over Super Bowl 49?
Yeah, I am. I made an effort to try and compartmentalize that. I gave myself a few weeks to really let it get to me. But the way that I'm viewing this whole section of my life as a Seahawks fan is this window, however long it lasts, 3 years, 5 years, 8 years, whatever, with this core group, with this coaching staff, is, you know, probably going to be the most blessed time in my life as a sports fan. And I don't want to spend too much of it bumming out over stuff. That's why I don't worry about contract disputes. That's why I don't worry about whether our players are, you know, acting the way they should on social media. Any of that, man. It's just I don't want to spend more time than is absolutely necessary being negative when you're talking about a team that is fully expected to win 12 games and go to the Super Bowl every year with a shit ton of likable players on it. So it took me a few weeks to process. I was just inconsolable for a few days. But, you know, it's not like the team, you know, that was the last shot at it and they got to tear down the team and all their high-priced free agents are leaving and all of that. You know, it's hopefully look back on as a blip on the radar as far as this kind of hopeful dynasty that we're watching goes.
Absolutely. And I got to say that despite quoting the greatest college student of all time, Van Wilder, I got to give it to Jackson Bevins. Come on, Danny, you got to get over that shit. Woo! So Jackson has won round 1, which was favorites, first, and best by getting over Super Bowl 49. Danny, once you can learn to come to terms with your demons, you will always be stuck behind in round 1. But we are moving on to round 2. And round 2 is a little something that I call, are you about that life?
Okay.
About that life. It's a little thing that's going around. People say that thing, to say, are people about that life? And,
Okay.
Jackson, what do you think about that life means to you?
It's about not talking about it. It's about being about it.
Not talking about it. It's about being about it. You ain't about that life. Danny, what does about that life mean to you?
Carpe diem, baby. That's what it's all about, and embracing your station, I guess. I have no idea. I've never heard that song.
About That Life. It is a song by Rick Ross, French Montana, Meek Mill, and Diddy, but that's not all it's about. It's about that life. So,
Okay.
when you're going to be about that life, I'm going to come to you guys, and you're not going to get the same names, but you're just going to tell me whether or not the person that I tell you is about that life. So I will give you a name, and then I'll say, is he about that life? And then you will tell me why he is or is not about that life. Does anyone have any questions?
Seems pretty straightforward to me.
Danny?
I've got many questions, but let's just go for it.
Well, we'll start with Jackson because he won the last round. We're going to keep it simple at the beginning. Jackson, is Marshawn Lynch about that life?
Marshawn Lynch is definitely about that life. Marshawn Lynch is like one of those guys so much about that life that he could actually probably write the rules. I mean, this guy is someone that's got respect from his peers. He's the hardest person to tackle in the NFL. Statistically, from the eye test, everything. He is heart and soul, and he does not seem to give a single fuck about what any of us think. He is here to do Marshawn Lynch, and that's going to look like whatever he decides to make it look like. So I would definitely say that Marshawn Lynch is about that life.
That is correct. Marshawn Lynch is definitely about that life. Moving on to number 2. Danny, is Doug Baldwin about that life?
Oh, yeah. I definitely think Doug Baldwin's about that life. He's a Stanford grad. He's a professional athlete. He's smart. He's articulate. He's thoughtful. He's insightful. And he understands social media. He has his own YouTube channel. He does YouTube stuff. He's been on. He's got a mind for the future in terms of he's doing some media stuff now to try and potentially pave a way for that. And he's intense. He's angry Doug Baldwin. He took a dump on the Super Bowl field in front of 500 million fans or whatever you want to say, how many ever it was. And I think that alone makes him about that life. But I think overall he's definitely about that life.
That is correct. Doug Baldwin, of course he's about that life. He's about that life, and you better be about that life if he's about that life. Jackson.
Yo.
Is Matt Hasselbeck about that life?
Man, I feel bad that there's all these yeses in a row, but Matt Hasselbeck is about that life. I mean, if Doug Baldwin's about that life for taking a shit in the Super Bowl, Matt Hasselbeck definitely about that life for not only calling his shot in the Green Bay game, even though they didn't pull it off.
Oh.
He called that shot over the stadium PA in his former team stadium. Like, we all laugh about it and whatever, but I mean, his nuts were hanging between his kneecaps when he called that shot. And then, on top of that, he freaking shook off the rust in the Beastquake game. Everyone talks about the Beastquake and how Marshawn Lynch won that upset in the playoffs against the Saints. But Matt Hasselbeck threw for 4 touchdowns that year. And I think, what was it, like Joe Jurevicius was his best receiver? Like, that was an amazing game that he had against the defending Super Bowl champion. He's... if you follow him on social media, he seems to say, what he feels, doesn't seem to play the PR game. Matt Hasselbeck, definitely about that life. And he doesn't shy away from the baldness either, which,
When you brought up the shot against Green Bay, I was just about to give you the ant. I was about to give you the no, and then you flipped it on me. And you pointed out that being about that life isn't necessarily being right or wrong or winning or losing. It's about knowing that you will win. You have to have the confidence that you will, even when you don't. So, yes, Matt Hasselbeck is about that life, and you get a point. Moving on to Danny.
Yep.
Is Brian Walters about that life?
Oh God, why you make me be mean, man? I'm gonna put it this way: he's about that life because he's an average, athletic white guy who is in the NFL, and he managed to get signed by another team despite only calling fair catches last year. So he is definitely about that life. He's living it. He doesn't care what you think. He's also an extremely good free throw shooter. I think he won the Seahawks free throw shooting contest during their practices. He basically owned the wrath of all Seahawk fans all year and did his job. He's about that life. He's now making over,
Of course he's not about that life. Are you kidding me? If Brian Walters is about that life, then what does it mean for anyone to be about that life? No, Brian Walters.
You don't want to be in the NFL? You can be in the NFL. All you have to do is catch a football.
You think anybody in the NFL is about that life? No. Yeah. And there you got people in the NFL, and some of them are about that life, and some of them are not about that life.
This was a trick question.
It was not a trick question. There are no trick questions.
That was the layup, Danny. I'm sorry, man.
No, it was a free throw, and he nailed it.
I'll up the difficulty level for Jackson just to see if we can even the score here, because right now it's 2-1 Jackson. In second round, about that life round. Jackson, are the 12th man about that life?
Oh, man. You know what?
How's that for a layup?
The 12th man is too much about that life, sometimes even for my own liking. But yes, they definitely are. They are a force that other teams are not shy about saying affects the game. Everyone talks about the noise. I definitely am a bigger fan of the 12th man being about that life during the season than in the off season. I certainly understand why this fan base can be considered off-putting to others, but there's no doubting the passion, that's for sure. So I got to say they're about that life.
Hell no, they ain't about that life. If you're not going to be about that life in the off-season, you can't be about that life in the season. Yeah, we were out there. We're the best home crowd in the NFL. I love it. But you ain't about that life. Get out of here.
That is a strong counter-argument. I will give you.
Way to go, idiot.
No, Kenny hit me with a good counter there.
I gotcha. That was a twisted one. So, Danny, this is your chance to tie it up and send it to a tiebreaker. And this isn't just a player, but an action.
Okay.
John Urschel, guard for the Baltimore Ravens. Do you know him?
Yes, I do know him. I know of him.
You know of him?
Yeah.
Is being an NFL player that is also a mathematician being about that life?
Yeah, it's about that life. I mean, it's like prestige worldwide. The guy's he's successful on multiple levels. He's going to go into mathematics after this and probably change the world after he's done playing football. A game that it's a ball game.
Step Brothers reference?
I did just make a Step Brothers reference. I was trying to make up for the Van Wilder one earlier.
I like both of the references for the record.
So at the end of the day.
Yeah, he's definitely about that life. He's making the most of it, and he's a smart dude. He's got multiple talents. He's a center. He's a guard. He can play multiple positions. Versatile dude. He's about that life.
Correct. He is definitely about that life.
Oh,
Go
man,
out there,
look at this
be
comeback.
yourself, and be out there and do what you love, and that's about how you be about that life. So we're going to the tiebreaker for about that life, and we're going to have to ask both of you the same question. We'll see. Either you might have different answers, and then that'll make my decision easier. Otherwise, it's going to have to come down to argument. So starting with Jackson, A.J. Francis plays for the Miami Dolphins. He also, this past offseason, started driving an Uber. He's an NFL player that also drives an Uber. Is that about that life?
Nah, it ain't about that life, man. You don't work your whole life, get to the NFL so you can drive around some little piece of cardboard for other people that you're not even allowed to take tips from. Come on, AJ Francis. You got to be about that life. That driving an Uber ain't about that life.
So Jackson says it ain't about that life. Danny, driving an Uber, about that life?
It's about that life. He's got to look for the future. I mean, this is a guy who's probably the 50s or whatever. We're a 90-man. He's probably like the 88th guy on the 90-man roster at this point. He's got to think about the future. He's an entrepreneur. He's getting out there. He's meeting people. He's about that life. He's probably driving a nice Prius that saves gas. He's economical. I think he's definitely about that life.
Danny, ask this guy if he thinks the tree in my backyard is about that life.
We'll have to save the tree because my producers are telling me that we've got only so much time. And we're coming down here, and Danny came into this round the underdog because he didn't even know what being about that life was. And Jackson, not only does he know what being about that life is, he is about that life. And there he is, and he's got the layup right there. And he misses it because Danny wins because, of course, driving an Uber is about that life. You're an NFL player picking up people from the bars and being like, yeah, I'm also in the NFL. Why don't you come over to my place instead of me taking you home? That's how you get about that life. And we are all tied up. Jackson won round 1. Danny won round 2. And we're going into overtime. That's right.
Who saw this coming?
I didn't see it myself. So here we go. The final round. Have you guys, let me just say before we start the final round, have you guys ever been on a long car ride?
Yes, I have.
And when you go on long car rides with friends, what do you tend to do? You play games, right?
Yes.
What are some, Danny, what are some of your favorite car games?
The car games, 21 questions.
I believe it's called 20 Questions.
20 questions.
What about you, Jackson? What do you like?
I mean, 20 questions is kind of the game. I don't know.
I Spy.
There's I Spy.
Like if I'm playing, I Spy is it's all right. It's like the goldfish of car games.
There's like the ones where you play and you say a name and like there's like the
so
alphabet
my favorite.
ones.
Okay, so my favorite car game. The thing is, it's not really specifically a car game, but since 20 questions isn't specifically a car game either, my favorite one is Would You Rather.
Ooh, Would You Rather? We'll save that one for maybe a After Dark game. And then we'll play some Would You Rather After Dark with Jackson and his fiancée. What do you say with the video on?
Hey, what do you think, babe? Yeah, she's in.
But for now, we're going to play a variation of 20 questions. This is 12 questions as in 12th man. And now we're getting down to 12 questions. You only get 12 questions, and it's going to be a person, a game, a specific football game, or a thing. So it's a person, a football game, or a thing, and you have 12 questions to find out what it is. You're going to ask me the questions, and I'll tell you, I'll give you a chance to choose whether you want the person, the game, or the thing. And then from there on, you will ask me 12. You have 12 questions to narrow it down and tell me what that thing is. Do you both understand?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to start with Danny, and it's 12 questions. Do you want the person, the game, or the thing?
A person.
He chooses the person. Okay, Danny, you've got 12 questions starting now.
Is it a man?
Yes.
Is he in the NFL?
That was a wasted question, but these are both wasted questions, by the way.
Of course it's a man, Danny. It's a man show for men.
We are playing an NFL. This is an NFL podcast, and your first 2 questions is it a man in the NFL?
Dan doesn't need 12 questions.
So we're down to 10. Go on.
God. Is he a current player?
No.
Did he play in the 90s?
No.
Did he play for the Seahawks?
Yes.
Did he play in the 2000s?
Yes.
Was he on offense?
No.
Was he defensive line?
No.
Was he defensive back?
No.
Is he Lofa Tatupu?
What the fuck?
Oh,
Oh yeah.
Do that.
oh my gosh, he just toyed with you. He just toyed with you. Question. You know,
Like
it was
you
long
hacked
all
into my
along.
system to get that.
Oh shit.
So if Jackson, if you want to win, then you've got to guess it in less than 10 questions.
All right.
So you've got 10
I
questions.
threw away 2 questions, by the way.
You threw them away. You didn't want them. You have a choice between a specific game or a specific thing.
I'll go with the game.
So Jackson has chosen the game. This is a specific NFL game, and he has got 12. He's got actually 10 questions to tie, 9 questions to win in order to get it right.
All right.
Jackson, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Begin.
Is it a postseason game?
No.
Did it take place in the last 10 years?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Did it involve the Seahawks?
Yes.
Was Russell Wilson the quarterback?
No.
Was it against a divisional opponent?
No.
Was it on national television?
Please hold. This guy's gonna ask me if it's on national fucking television. Oh, I get it. Like, as if I know what every game. Like, I got the channels right next to me. I mean, like.
Well, okay, all right. I mean, I would just expect the host to be prepared for these
Oh,
questions.
really? Is going to be prepared? Do you want me to tell you like who is the broadcast team as well? Like, Jesus.
No, I just need you to answer
That's
the question.
not a yes or no question. I'm sorry.
It's not about a yes or no question. It's like,
No, that's actually exactly how this game works, I think.
yeah, it is a yes or no question, whether or not it was on national TV. It's just a matter of the fact that if something happened X amount of time ago, it's not necessarily so
Okay,
easy
all
to
right,
find
all right.
out.
Kenny, will it help? Can I clarify or pin it down? Was it a primetime game?
No, that wouldn't help me.
Okay.
Hold on. Give me a second. I
already had some sources.
This is
It was not a primetime game. It was probably not national television.
Okay.
that's 6.
So you've got 3 or 4 to go.
Did it take place in Seattle?
Yes.
What is
What?
this noise?
Oh yeah, there's a bird like right above me on the roof. He's like trying to give me answers, but I don't speak sparrow. All right, let's see here.
Just to recap for everybody, we're doing 12 questions. We're down to his last 3 questions. If he wants to tie, 2 questions if he wants to win. He's got the game. It's a Seahawks game. It took place in Seattle. Wasn't on national television. I looked it up. It did not have Russell Wilson. And he's coming down to the wire right now. Jackson, what is your 8th question?
The Seahawks win?
They did.
Let's see. Russell Wilson is not the quarterback. All right, let's see here.
He's got to use these well. He's got to use these smartly here.
Yeah, I gotta.
You can ask one question, and then we'll see if you get the.
All right. Was it during the last month of the season?
That's an odd way to say it. I'm going to be honest with you. Does that mean that was it in December, or does that mean was it in the last 4 games?
Was it one of their last 4 games of the season?
Looks like he's doing his internet research. No, it was not. So, do you have an answer, or do you want to go for the top?
Some random Seahawks game from the last 10 years that they won at home. Awesome. All right. He gets Lofa Tatupu, the highest Seahawks jersey of the last 20 years.
Stop crying like a little girl.
Let's see here.
I'm saying either there's people listening to this at home that are screaming at the top of their lungs. They know it. They can feel it. They know what I'm going for here, and you can't pick it up. Or can you? This is it. Jackson, you're on the line. Are you about that life? Get into it.
Oh, let's see here.
Jackson, if it makes you feel any better, I have no clue either.
It does actually make me feel a little bit better. It does. Okay, it was... Son of a gun.
I mean, what kind of a... I mean, I'm not going to pick some random game, right? There's got to be something...
No. I'm thinking there's got to be... I mean, it's got to be the Lofa Tatupu games that weren't started by Russell Wilson in the last 10 years. So I'm just trying to think about which one that is. I
feel like Jackson's really stalling here.
I know I am. I feel bad. Like at this point, I'm having trouble even thinking of a significant game that doesn't fit into that criteria. Like the first significant game I can think of that fits, I will answer with, but does not seem to exist. Was it the game that they beat the Colts by? I think when they were both like 13-0, the year that Seattle went to the Super Bowl.
That is incorrect.
Yeah.
I told you that was not. I said it was not in the final 4 games of the season. So that one was actually in week 16.
Yeah.
Is that the end of it?
Yeah, let's hear what game you're talking about here.
So you mentioned the Colts in week 16 of the 2005 season. Go back 4 weeks to an overtime win over the New York Giants when they committed 11 false starts at home against Quest, which gave them their big reputation as being the toughest and loudest stadium in the NFL. The answer was November 27th against the New York Giants. You think people at home
are shouting that answer at the top of the line?
Some people might be.
That's Westfield right there. They're going nuts.
That's it. What's there to say? Danny's the champion of the world.
So there it is. Danny has won the first ever Real in the Field games. Danny, how does it feel?
Oh, man, I feel amazing. That's it.
Oh, my God. Did you guys, the tension is palpable. He was freaking out, man. He's freaking out.
I'm about that life.
Let's tell him what he wins. You get to co-host the show next week when it's Real in the Field Goals podcast.
Yes. That's amazing.
That is a
opportunity
at $2.4 million. What's that?
I won't let you down.
Oh, you better not, or I'll kick your ass right off. Wow, that came right down to the wire. I thought maybe Jackson would get it. You know, this is a beta version of the game, so we're trying out stuff. And at the end of the day,
like a mega version of the game.
To be fair, you were 4 games off in a 10-year period.
That's pretty good, actually. Yeah.
Thank you. I am thrilled to be receiving some consolation praise about taking second in a 2-person internet radio game. Thank you.
It's a podcast game, guys. Come on. Be serious.
2-person podcast game.
But let me ask you this. Did you have fun?
Yes.
Yep.
Well, that's all we asked for here on the Real in the Field games. And I just want to thank our contestants for coming down and playing the games. I want to thank our beautiful contestant. What was the thing? what would you call like the Price is Right girls?
Bob's Beauties. That's
Ooh,
what I think they're actually called, is Bob's Beauties.
Bevan's Beauties. Paulina for also being here and listening to some of it, I believe. And
Yeah, she got bored kind of quick.
well, you know, we can't fucking please everybody, okay?
No, that's what I was telling her.
But I, for one, had a great time hosting the first ever Real on the Field games. I think the listeners are gonna love this and ask for more. So make sure to tune in next week to Real on the Field Goals. Every Thursday, Friday, every single week of the year. It's me, Danny Kelly, and sometimes it's Jackson, and sometimes it's other guests. Download, subscribe on iTunes, and make sure that you are always about that life.